How does an accounting major turn into a book author celebrating stories of 150 women in the span of a decade? Let's find out as Paulina Cameron, Director of Futurpreneur Canada, joins me for Winding Paths, our series that's exploring nonlinear career paths of incredible women. Thanks for coming on to our new series, Paulina.
My pleasure. So happy to be here.
One of the first things that you said to me when I reached out was, I have time constraints. And I thought immediately, yes, a woman who's worked to develop healthy boundaries around time and commitment. And I'm kind of making the leap that your ability to prioritize has also played a role in how you're able to support so many organizations across Western Canada and to have so many personal career accomplishments like writing Canada 150 Women. I'm curious to find out a little bit about what's been important for you to prioritize when it comes to your career and what have you had to learn to let go of?
That's such a good question. And your comment about prioritizing and time constraints is really funny. I was talking with a friend the other day, and I was saying that having a child has basically been my number one prioritization tool, which is obviously both a big long-term decision and a commitment. So there are probably cheaper and quicker and easier ways of really figuring it out, but I'm a recovering workaholic that is learning to embrace boundaries and embrace time and project management. I have become very clear on what I do say yes to, and I'm forever practicing what I say no to. But in terms of what I found important to prioritize in my career overall, I've for a long time known that I'm not actually career driven, which might be strange given kind of the work and how I've grown my work, but I've always considered myself impact driven. And the distinction for me there is that I'm really driven about making a difference and making an impact. That doesn't necessarily have to mean only in the nonprofit or social enterprise world. It's really important for me to be connected to making a difference and making a change and making an impact in whatever area of work that I'm working in. With that comes, I've always valued community leadership and showing up where we live and making the place better wherever that be. And for me personally, something that's always been really important is personal development. I've really realized that the key to a lot of the things that I do, I'll only be able to do them as good as the main restrictor in that is, which is me. And so I've doubled down on personal development over the last few years, and that's been really beneficial to me because it's taught me so much about myself and also what I need in order to be successful and what I need in order to level up, which is different for everyone.
Just can't get over you saying like having a child. And it made me think about things like life hacks. A very interesting kind of life hack, but you're not the first person who has said when you have something that's so important and you've put something so personally, significant as a priority, how other things start to take shape.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious now. So when we met, you would have been the BDM, like the business development manager at Futurpreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about meeting people along their career journey, I often think that's sort of where it starts. Like if we had met when we were both 5-year-olds, that's where our relationship starts. So in my mind, I think about things like, oh yeah, Paulina, she's always worked at Futurpreneur. But no. So I dug into your career archive to find out some things, like the fact that you were a staff accountant at KPMG. Like, an accountant? Say what? And that you were a communications manager at Watson and then a community manager for the Forum of Women Entrepreneurs. And as I just kept digging, I kept thinking, Paulina, you've got such an incredible journey to date of things that sound like you were making an impact. I'm kind of wondering, when you think back, what were you realizing about your own path back in those earlier days and those early steps?
So I think I pretty early on recognized my desire to make an impact. That's one of the reasons why I knew I wouldn't be able to stay at public practice for a while. I found that I was too removed from the impact or the work that I was doing in the job that I needed to do on a day-to-day basis. And this is taking me much longer, but I've recognized and now really embraced the fact that I like to be a leader, and that's where I want to, how I want to show up, where I want to lean in, where I want to grow, and my best contribution is. And so I've sought out to work in places where that, where I could do that and where that would be embraced and where I could show up that way. I really like being involved in different things. For some people, having a defined 9 to 5 and having those parameters and then kind of checking out, that suits them really well. And that's not my personality. I really get into the work that I do. It impacts my personal life. It's part of who I am on the weekends and evenings. And so for me, having a job or the work that I do or the body of work that I do reflect that was really important.
I love the fact that we're having this conversation because I think not just about you and your career, but also the impact that it must have left on you to get this opportunity to interview 150 Canadian women for your book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, they must have given you a lot of insights. So I'm curious about the kind of the takeaways that their career experiences and their life experiences have left you with. What's shaping you now?
So much. I mean, there were some women that for the first time ever talked about experiencing domestic abuse and violence and surviving that. There's women who fled to Canada that shared their stories. So there was such a depth of courage, which I really, really admired. It was not that I needed this reminder, but a great reminder of how remarkable women are, and their stories, and how they, they're when they find the thing they want to contribute to and the difference they want to make, they're all in for that, and they will move mountains and make that happen. Talk about non-linear career paths. A lot of them would share that so many of the opportunities that they have found themselves in have just felt like pure luck or timing, and then they really embraced saying yes to opportunities that came their way, even if they weren't ones that they had necessarily planned out or were able to forecast. But really recognized opportunities as they came to them and said, I'm going to step into this. I might not even feel ready for this yet, or I don't know what this holds or where this will take me, but I'm willing to take that risk. I trust myself to do the work and to show up. And they would say yes to those opportunities. And a lot of them came because of the community and the network they've built. I think about this a lot in a world where we talk about robots taking over everything and artificial intelligence this. And for me, certainly all of my opportunities have come because of the people that I've known, and they've presented themselves that way to me. I don't think that's going to change. I think people love working with people, and we love building relationships, and we love community building. And when I think about growing careers or whatever my future holds for me, I know that's the way it will go, and shape out and plan and think about how can people diversify and do something additional and interesting, and contribute to a volunteer group, or do work in the community around a passion and interest, and build out different networks and connections that way. And we never know where those will lead.
You're so spot on, I think, about that. You just never know. And this idea of, is it luck? Is it timing? Is there just something in there? And you said earlier that one of the prioritizing things that you've done is you're learning what to say yes to and what to say no to. When you're thinking about your career, the things that you have said yes to, or the things, how do you decide what to say yes and what to say no to? What's your decision-making process?
I think it's changed over the years. Really early on, a mentor taught me a framework that she uses, which is to have filters. So she would always have kind of 3 filters that she would evaluate opportunities based on, and those filters would change over the years. So as she was starting out her career, money was less important, but learning was really important. And so I've kind of held that practice and reevaluate my filters. One of the most important filters that I have right now is flexibility. So I have a 2.5-year-old, I have a full-time job, I do a lot of community work, I sit on a few boards, I do things like speaking or books and other things. And having and being in a role and in an organization, or saying yes to opportunities where I'm both supported, so there's team and there is an environment that support is there, but also has the flexibility, is really, really critical to me right now. Those filters change over time, but in addition to kind of those quantified filters, there's that gut sense and that gut feeling. And sometimes you can't really articulate it, but you just have this, like, either a bit of a worry of like, I don't quite know what this is, but I'm hesitating. Or perhaps you said yes to something and then you like wake up the next day and go, how am I going to get out of it? When you realize that you keep delaying doing something, you're procrastinating on it, or you keep postponing it. And other ones, it's just a clear, heck yes, I'm going to move all the mountains to make this happen, and I would totally regret not doing this.
I like this idea of this filter framework. I really appreciate you sharing that with me and with us, because I think what you were just saying there about, it's like you're testing or checking your, I don't know, checking your gut or checking your values or what you're deeply committed to, and seeing when something is pulling you back from that.
Mhm.
There's something there to check into, and it sounds like you're really checking into that. I think we could all use a bit more of that. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I know you make really clear choices about what you want to get involved with and what you don't. So I'm really appreciative that Winding Paths and Talent Collective, it were something that you would want to come and share a few moments and you know, a few moments of your own career with, because it's been just really beautiful to hear how far you've come and how you're building your impact-driven career. So thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. One of my number one filters is supporting fellow female entrepreneurs. So that is a priority I always make time for.
Heck yeah. Thank you for that. Us too. All right. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next episode of Winding Paths.